Welcome everyone to our 16th Philadelphia Accident and Injury Google Hangout. My name is Renee and I'll be your host for today's Hangout. Once again, we'll be talking with Rand Spear, Philadelphia's accident attorney and a terrific resource for information on accidents, injuries, and the legal process. How are things in Philadelphia today?
It's a nice day. It's a little chilly, but it's a great day here.
Yeah, and you had a nice Thanksgiving?
Very nice. Little filling, but very nice.
Yeah, I'm starting to appreciate those 2 days off. Those are nice to have.
Absolutely.
Well, let's move on. Today we're going to discuss the harsh realities for a great number of unfortunates traveling on the roadways of Pennsylvania who've been involved in a traffic accident. In 2004, the Penn DOT reported more than 121,000 traffic crashes in Pennsylvania. Nearly 12,000 people died and close to 80,000 were injured. Although these figures are some of the lowest in 60 years, the reality is that there are 14 crashes per hour, one death every 7 hours, and every day 219 people are injured in vehicle crashes. Can you tell us what the most common types of vehicle accidents are, Rand?
I can, Renee, but first I want to clear up. You said 2004, and I think you really meant 2014.
You are correct. It's a
So,
2014 Penn DOT. You're right.
right. So those are the most recent statistics that we have available, and I will tell you that actually the numbers have been coming down. Those are the best numbers that we've actually heard in a long time. But the fact remains there's a lot of accidents out there. And the most accidents that really do occur at intersections, as one would expect, whether the intersection is controlled by a traffic control device or by a stop sign. That's where you really need to be careful, because you never know what the other driver is doing, what they're thinking, who has the right of way, who's going to go first. So most accidents happen at the intersectional. Now they do happen, of course, there's rear enders, there's all different kinds of accidents, but number one would be at the intersection, and then other areas, hitting a fixed object. There's a lot of pedestrian accidents where a vehicle actually either hits someone who's walking or someone who's on a bicycle. So you also have to watch the road for those motorcycle vehicles as well. You have to be very careful in this day and age.
One would think that because there's so many cars on the road that they'd be the most common vehicles involved in accidents. Are there other vehicles that...
Well, there are. Number one would be passenger vehicles, because they are by far the highest proportion of vehicles that are on the road. But also SUVs have taken a top position now, because there are so many SUVs and light trucks on the road. And then the next down would be heavy trucks, motorcycles, bicycles, commercial buses, and then finally school buses.
Well, maybe you can tell our audience some of the types of injuries in passenger car accidents.
Well, in my experience, the majority of accidents are what we call musculoskeletal injuries, involving the back, involving the neck. You could have soft tissue injuries, but oftentimes they're more serious, and you could have a herniated disc in either your neck or your back. And then we do have a fair number of clients that come in and end up with fractures. They fracture their shoulder, they fracture their arm, they fracture their leg or their ankle. So, it really depends on the mechanism of injury and what happens to you while you're inside the vehicle when the actual crash occurs.
Yeah, it's a life-changing moment for these unfortunates that become victims of traffic accidents.
Absolutely.
What should a victim do if they're involved in an accident?
Well, the first thing you want to do is pull your vehicle off to the side of the road, so if there's other vehicles in the area, you don't get involved in a second accident. And then check the other occupants. If there are other occupants of the vehicle, make sure everyone's okay. Be very careful getting out, and then dial 911. Call the police. Ask the police to come to the scene and make a record of what happened. It's also very important to get the information from the other vehicle so that you know who was driving. You write down the tag number, the description of the vehicle, and then if you have a cell phone and you can take some pictures of your vehicle damage, the other party's vehicle damage. If the roadway is an issue, take pictures of the roadway so that when you come in to see an attorney, you have a good snapshot of exactly what happened and who's involved in the accident.
Yeah, a lot to remember, but I think it's critical if you know, you were hit by someone that you know, you take down a lot of that information.
Absolutely. And one last thing I would say, at the accident scene, if you are in pain or distress, by all means, when you call the police, ask them to send an ambulance for you, just to be safe, so that you can get yourself checked out and make sure that you're okay.
Yeah, it seems that more often than not, you know, people don't realize how badly hurt they are, and they refuse to go in an ambulance, and they should. The reflex should be that they go immediately to the hospital to get something, you know, get their injuries checked out.
You're right. The typical response is they're shaken up, they're scared, they're nervous, they don't know what to do, which is very reasonable and understandable. But by all means, make sure that you're okay. And if you're not, and if you are having a significant degree of pain, by all means, call the ambulance. Don't be afraid to do that. That's what they do, and that's what they're there for.
Yeah, that's great advice. Most people don't realize what shock does to a body.
Absolutely.
If you have a case in Pennsylvania or New Jersey related to any accident or injury, please call Rand Spear, the accident lawyer, at 888-373-4-LAW, L-A-W, or visit the firm at www.randspear.com. Thanks again for sharing your experience and knowledge with us and the audience, Rand.
My pleasure, Renee. Have a great day.
Yeah, and I want to thank everyone, and come back next week to join us for another important discussion on some new injury and accident topic. That's all for now, and goodbye.